Hey, welcome to my channel. Today's video, should you give up on manifesting your specific person? I've had two queries this week from two of my members saying, should I just give up? It depends what you think of as giving up. There are two different types of giving up. Like I said before, there's giving up and there is saying, I'm done with this. Actually, I don't want this anymore. I want to move on and I want to manifest somebody else because it'll be easier. There will be no resistance. That's giving up. Or there's giving up on trying to manifest. So, putting in any techniques, giving up on affirming, giving up on visualizing. And that is the thing that people get hooked on. It's the visualization stuff that they find themselves doing it and they don't even know that they're doing it. And then they're doing it again, they get caught in this cycle and they can't stop doing that. And that can be, I wouldn't say it can be destructive, but it can really aid your attachment. If you are... it depends what point you're at. Let's say you've gone 6 months down the line, you haven't manifested them back, you haven't manifested any contact whatsoever. If you carry on as you're going now and doing the same stuff will happen. You won't manifest it. You can't now at this point do anything more to aid what you've already done. You've done enough. Even if you just visualized, intended with feeling and done a bit of affirming for a month or so, that would be enough. And actually you don't even need to do that. A lot of it depends on your inner goings on, what's going on there. If you don't have any resentment, and you know that you don't have any resentment, you've got nothing to feel resentful for, the past relationship, that person, or yourself. Don't resent yourself either. If you don't resent yourself for anything that you did, because that can be a bar as well. So if you haven't got any of that going on, then all you need to do is set your intention with some feeling and feel it as if that you're back together, that if you are together, let it go. That would be all that you would need to do. And you could do that in 5 minutes flat. I manifested, I told the whole story of this on my members area for my Sunday chat, but I'll just sort of briefly say that I hadn't had contact with a friend of mine in 18 months. Nothing, we hadn't fallen out or anything. It was just fizzling out. It just fizzled out really, and there was no particular reason for it, and I was just sat in the garden discussing with my husband Jeremy that I wondered how he was getting on, because I wasn't intending to message him or anything. I just said, I wonder how he's getting on through all of this. I wonder if he's been working from home. It literally was about a 30-second conversation I had with my husband. And then the very next day, I had a message from him. I had a text from him saying, oh, how have you been doing in lockdown? This is how it's been working for me. How's it been working for you? Because there was no resistance there whatsoever. So that's as easy as it is when there's no resistance. But, resistance is like, I always, and I don't know if it is this, but I always see resistance and attachment like you are saying, no, I hold this back, I don't want it. So whatever's going on in their head will be stopping them from coming to you. Because you've put in your intention and you've done the visualization, all of the stuff that you need to do, they will be thinking of you. It's a guarantee that they will be thinking of you. I will actually guarantee this now. But your attachment is just stopping them from coming to you. So you're getting in your own way. But that's easier said than done, to shift out of the way, isn't it? And to detach. If it was that easy just to detach, happy days, but it's not. So giving up in that respect, so giving up trying to manifest, giving up techniques, giving up visualization. So when you find yourself visualizing, you make a conscious decision that you're going to stop. And the only time that you should ever visualize really when you're at this stage is when you are overwhelmed with the urge to do it. Absolutely overwhelmed, and it feels amazing, because that is your manifestation coming. Don't try to think too much about it coming then when that happens, because then you can stall it again by thinking, oh, this is it. Evie said it's coming, so this is it. But it always has been. In my experience, when I want something, I just get this overwhelming urge to visualize it, it happens. So that is generally, there's no rules, are there? It might be different for you than for me, but generally that is the case, because you're at such a point where that visualization is natural. You haven't evoked it yourself. You haven't sat there and thought, I'm going to visualize, or consciously made that decision in some way to visualize. It's just sort of happened naturally. You not even really aware you're doing it. And that should feel different, slightly different. And then go with that. But any sort of set visualization patterns that you are in, I would definitely suggest that you drop those. If you've got to this stage where you're months down the line and nothing's happened, because nothing's happened because of your attachment. It's as simple as that. even if you think to yourself, well, I don't feel that I'm attached, then in some way you are. So it's either that stuff going on, an internal program going on of why they aren't coming to you, or it is the fact that you're just attached to the outcome. And even if you're going about your business not thinking about it too much, that attachment is still there, because actually this stuff is easier than we make it, easier than we tell ourselves it is half the time. Look how quickly it happened there with me just discussing, I wonder how he's doing, and that happened. So it's all down to you and your feelings, and it's about being honest with yourself as well, and knowing yourself and knowing why you're in this position now, knowing why things aren't happening, and deciding to make that change. So yes, you give up on the intention, and I know a lot of coaches will say completely the opposite and say, no, you never give up. You go on and on and on, and you affirm, until it sinks into your subconscious and it happens. But this is how this doesn't work for me. We're all different. I'm different than you. You are different than your best friend. You are different from the person that lives next door to you. So your feelings are different. The way that you deal with things are different. Your personality type is different. So it might not suit you to do that. It wouldn't suit me to do that. I know that for a fact. So when a member comes to me and says I'm at this point, I have then gotten to know that member. So I know sort of their personality, and I know that if I advise them to do this, then that's good for them. But some members, so if I advise one member an affirmation to use, another member with the same issue, I might not tell them to use an affirmation, because I know that it won't work for them, because they've given me their backstory, I've gotten to know them a bit, so I know that that will just cause more resistance. So it really does depend on your personality type. So it's a really good idea to be completely open and honest with yourself. How are you with affirming? How are you with revision? How are you with writing stuff down? How are you with scripting? Does that make you feel good? Or is that something that you've always kind of been resistant to? Then that's not the thing that's going to help you through. And to be honest, if you're at this point and you're here and you're wondering whether you should give up, then yes, you should give up, because what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? You can follow other coaches and just push on through it, but I think that if you're at this point and you're feeling bad and you've already been doing that, how is another 3, 4, 5, 6 months of that going to make you feel any better? And yes, you might get there in the end. You very well might get there in the end, but then you've got to go all that time feeling crap and resistant, and who wants that? Life is extremely short. Do you really want to spend the next 6 months feeling like this? I'd say no. I'd say because this is your reality and it's all about you, and it's all about you feeling as good as you possibly can and knowing that you're worth it. You are worth the best, and you don't have to try to reach anyone else's standards. I know that I say that a lot and I try and hammer that home to people, but it really isn't. I'm really passionate about it. I'm really passionate about us, because I've gone through times where I have maybe felt that somebody else was more important than me, and they're, that I should be meeting their needs rather than meeting my own needs, and I just would never want to feel like that again. Never want to. And it was not the other person's fault, it was completely my fault, and I would never want to feel like that again. I don't want you guys to feel like that. So either, if you have been on that verge of, should I give up on them in the hope to manifest them, or shall I try to manifest somebody else? I would say something like this, and this is you stating it to yourself, to your subconscious. I always say that I'm sort of stating it to reality, because that's kind of how it feels. I would really like to experience this person in my life, but I accept that there might be somebody even better out there for me, and I'm open to the idea of somebody better. You're just open to the idea of it. You're not saying you want it, but it just tends to release a little bit of resistance there, because what if there is somebody better? I know at the moment you probably feel there's no one better. This is the person I want, and I don't want anybody else. But just leaving yourself open to the possibility just releases that resistance and allows the person you actually want to come back to you. It just frees up a bit of space inside, and that's what you're looking to do here. So giving up is not a bad thing. Even if it's giving up, throwing your hands up in the air and saying, I am absolutely done with this, I can't do it anymore, I need to move on. You could think that in 1 minute, and the next minute they could contact you, because you've completely had this massive rush of release. The thing is then, it's not the best, because then they come to you and then you're like, whoa, they've come back, and then you get caught in that cycle again. So it's always better to do this for the right reasons in the long term. There is no right and wrong, but the best reasons for you in the long term. So there's nothing wrong with giving up. It doesn't mean that you've failed. It just means that you're allowing it to happen. by clinging on, you don't allow stuff to happen. Clinging on is like putting something in a stranglehold. It's like you've got that person with their hands tied behind their back, and they're handcuffed to a railing or something that they can't get away from. There's nothing that they can do. They cannot move because you won't allow them to move. Your attachment is keeping them there. I come out with lots of visuals like that, but I feel that it really helps put things into perspective. So that's my take on it. Sometimes when I make these kind of videos, I think, maybe this opinion is not going to be particularly popular, because I know that other coaches wouldn't agree with me. And I guess that I'm saying it because I know my personality, I know what I'm like, and I know that if I set an intention to affirm something if I was really feeling resistant to something, it would probably take me between 3 and 6 months to budge my subconscious. And I know that I don't want to feel bad all of that time. And if I was going to feel bad for half that time, I wouldn't want to do it. So I would have to find another way. So again, it depends on you and your personality. So don't really get sort of put into this box of or believe that there's a rule that no, you have to do this, you have to have self-discipline, you have to affirm, you have to revise, you have to script in order for it to happen. And if you don't, and you don't have that self-discipline, well, you are not going to get it. If you hear that, I disagree with that, but again, it's just my opinion. I disagree with it. I just feel that that's just not your way. So there are several ways for us to get to the point we want to, and the best way is working on you, feeling good about you. And I would say this in any case, because why would you want to ever feel bad? Why would you not want to feel good about yourself, to have really high self-worth, and to know that you don't need to reach anybody else's standards in order to have them back into your life? That's got to be a better place to come from, hasn't it? I feel really strongly about that. So you probably know that because I talk about it a lot, but I really do. I feel passionate about it because I have members that are getting so much better. They've been devastated. They've been like, oh my God, this is the end of the world, and I'd never feel like I'm not going to get past this. And then they do, and they get to a place where they just feel so much better. And then they will maybe get a little bit of contact, and then they'll come back to me and say, what do I do with this? And I'm not one for telling people what to do, but I would just, say just be mindful of how you react to that contact. And don't stress if it stops, because you're not quite there yet. So it might well do, but that doesn't matter. Look what you've done. You've got that contact now. You've got it once, you can get it again. But don't stress if it falls away again, because often we get these partial manifestations when we're not fully there. But they've come from not having anything at all, being blocked and being told never contact me again, to get in contact. So don't know. But I would also suggest, don't keep looking at success stories, because I think that can be a real bar, because you just look at someone else's success story and you're like, yeah, that's amazing. And then you feel, why is that not happening for me? Why can't I make that happen? And you end up getting quite frustrated. So I would say giving yourself a break from all of this stuff, if you feel really lousy, is a good idea too. Stop looking at YouTube videos, my videos included. Definitely don't look at success stories, because a success story, whilst it's encouraging, it's also a reminder that you don't have it. So anything that causes you to feel your lack, or to feel the lack, it's not your lack, is it? To feel the lack is a reason to not do it, not look at it, Find your way. Don't assume, if you've been told that you just have to plough on in order for this to happen, I wouldn't necessarily accept that, because we are all individual, and what is good for you may not be good for somebody else. And yes, in lots of cases that may be great. I think that kind of thing is to be used if you are in a reasonably good place, if you're in a neutral place, if you are in a place of semi-detachment already, then that would be great, and it would work wonders, and it will happen doing that. It comes down to you at the end of the day, and you know yourself. And if you're being told to do that, but that's not going to work for you, then you just listen to yourself. Don't listen to anybody else. We all know ourselves. Nobody knows us like we know us, so trust yourself, and don't always feel like you have to ask somebody else and go with their opinion. I would always say to all of my members, and I say this a lot, trust your instincts, and whatever you feel, if you're wondering whether you should reach out to your specific person because you're wanting that validation that what you're doing is working, if that is the reason, I always say listen to your intuition, ask your intuition, because really you know deep down that if it's your ego or if it's inspired action, you do know, and go with your intuition every single time. since I've started using my intuition as just a tool, it's what I do all of the time. If I'm unsure about something, I ask my intuition and I listen to it. And if it says no, I don't do it. Even if I get an answer that I don't want and I don't like, I just have to deal with that, and I have to take that answer as being the right way to go, because it's never failed me. And back in the day when I used to just do what I wanted, I'd get an answer from my intuition. I think, no, that can't be right, because I want to go a different way, so I would ignore it, but it never worked out. So really rely on your intuition a lot. And if you're at that stage now where you're thinking, I'm waffling on, sorry, but you're at that stage where you are wondering whether you should give up, ask your intuition, is it right for me to give up now, just to give it a break and just let this come to me? Should I give up? And you will have some sort of feeling. You either have a yes or no, or you'll get a feeling. If you're not sure of it, ask it again half an hour later, because asking your intuition is quite a practice thing. It took me a while to get really good at it, but now I just do it all of the time. So that's my take on this. Give up. If you're feeling rubbish, and you've been feeling rubbish for a long time, that is no good reason then to carry on. Thanks for visiting the channel. If you haven't subscribed, then I would love for you to do that. Pop along to my website, see what I'm about. My coaching information is there, and I write books. And if you haven't visited my son's channel, that's Harrison Ellis.